Hello everybody, it's Mike Levin on Thursday, September 22nd, 2016, around 9:15 a.m. on my way into work, walking down 29th Street here. And I had like a 5-minute call with Addie this morning, which is really awesome and kind of a milestone, having a short conversation with her. I've been looking forward to being able to do that. And normally it's hard to wrap up discussions with her without her getting really upset without getting more time. So this opens the door to more just like quick saying hi's to her. I guess that's a emotional maturity milestone. She's coming up on 6 years old. She'll be 6 in November. And this Saturday is the Maker Faire. She's been at the Maker Faire twice before. We skipped the last year. So she was really only a nearly 3, an old 2-year-old and an old 3-year-old for the first 2 years we brought her. We skipped when she was an old 4-year-old, and now she's almost 6, and it's going to be perfect, just the right time to impress upon her. She talks a lot about being an inventor. She's definitely enamored with the concept of dimensional scissors, but I'm trying to set her sights a little more achievable over the next number of years. Things like robots that can fold socks. I think that would be a great, successful venture. And most recently, we're playing hide and seek over FaceTime, the video teleconferencing on the Apple devices. And it occurred to me that hide and go seek through telepresence and robots as your mobile video devices at each end is an awesome idea. During one turn, the human is hiding and the robot is seeking, even though it's a human controlling the robot, feeling like normal hide and go seek. And when the turns switch, the robot is hiding and the human is seeking. And again, it feels a lot like being there playing hide and go seek in person. I mean, it's a lot like the drone technology that's used, where someone's out using telepresence to fly a drone remotely when it's not on autopilot. But when it's bi-directional, that is both people occupying a common space, sort of remotely. And I guess you have to choose one space or the other to be the quote real space, the space that both people are pretending to occupy. But there you have it. That was conceived of, at least in rudimentary abstract form, by Addie. I think it sort of clicked with me how totally doable and achievable this is in the coming day and age we're in. And made me think a lot about the stuff coming down the pike. Are these robots all going to be these highly commercial robots from, Boston Dynamics and Toyota? Or are they going to be home-built with certain home-built advantages that the commercial ones could never get? Sure, the commercial stuff gets the advantages of economy of scale, and they can build much more expensive robots and make them available, at cheaper than you ever could build that particular robot. But it's going to have all the same restrictions as, say, today what we see with things like Apple phones and even Google Glass when that was having its day. APIs and restrictions and sandboxes and rules basically cobble these things into stable and profitable and commercially highly viable, but nonetheless prisons, beautiful little prisons, as Richard Stallman would put it, that both report back everything it's doing to its masters and can just generally do less and have certain behavioral codes enforced and smaller selections of software and behaviors that you can install on it than, say, a jailbroken one. But as soon as you jailbreak, you're in a cat and mouse game with the vendors and manufacturers and stuff. So really, with robots, there's so much variety. It's not a phone. The phone has these tight rails and the definition of phone gets expanded by making it these like Star Trek, rectangular tablets that are general purpose, tricorder type things, but that's still quite a bit on rails. When you start talking about robots, there's unlimited possibility of form factors, mobility, manipulation appendages, sensors, speed, strength, agility. And so I think that there's much more room for the hackers or makers or whatever you want to call it. And the time is ripe for me to infuse that ethic into Addie the best I can. And I do a lot on my own. The shows that she watches, like Star Butterfly and Gravity Falls, certainly help along these lines tremendously. But so will the maker culture. I guess recently relabeled from the hacker community to the maker community. Perfectly good words get taken away, and it takes organizations like Make Magazine and O'Reilly to give us new terms that we can slap onto this homebrew society that loves to make their own stuff and finds satisfaction in doing it and gains competitive advantage in all sorts of endeavors, from professional to just living a higher quality of life for yourself. For example, the sock folding robot, if we ever pull that off, that's going to be amazing. Commercially viable, probably. Improving of one's quality of life, definitely. Satisfying as a project and setting you up for a successful career for the rest of your life with specialties that span unlimited disciplines and open the world to you entirely. So sock folding robots, telepresence robots that are capable of decent games of hide and go seek. The list probably goes on. It's a good place to start. And even just hacking today's devices is going to be quite important to be more effective at telepresence. Addie and I had another milestone last night on the video calls where we were just hanging up and calling each other back. The internet connection wasn't very good, so she says, "I'm gonna hang up and call you back, okay, Daddy?" And she did, and it was amazing. So Addie and I are just about at the point where we can just make calls to each other during the day, so long as she's near her iPhone and it's charged and can answer. So there are some things to address and fix in that process. The keeping it charged and keeping it clear are weak links in that particular chain. And we toyed with the idea of getting this watch, which is like AT&T or Verizon or whoever, marketing a device that allows you to stay sort of walkie-talkie in touch with your kid without pressing a button, and you get the GPS data on them. But I think that ship has sailed, and for the better. I don't think I want to get into these, beautiful prison devices any more than just getting some advantage out of them so that you're at least in parity with the people around you. But then everything else interesting that you invest time and energy into should be your own stuff, should be stuff that you made yourself, stuff that makes other people go, wow, that increases your personal capabilities and I guess your value in other people's eyes, and sets you up for a good life. And even if you get into other fields, even if she ends up, because I know I run the risk of like turning her off to all the technical fields by pushing her too far into them at too young of an age. But even if her interest ends up being dance or art or music, it's all connected. I'm a Gödel-Escher Bach believer, and creativity is probably the one non-commoditizable skill in that whole picture. Because all this other stuff you can learn through rote memorization and practice. And while there's value in that, that's where spontaneous expertise comes into play. Those are just tool issues. Mastery over using the tools frees up your creative capacity so that you can express yourself in more abstract and meaningful terms, and get those ideas implemented into real world almost without thinking about it, because the movements come naturally to your hands and your feet and your muscles, muscle memory. So technical expertise backs up creativity. You first need to get one under your belt. It's a lot like just plain literacy, learning to read and write. Technical gets subsumed to basic literacy and everyday competence. It should not be broken out as a separate and especially not a subordinate area of study. It is one of the R's: reading, writing, arithmetic, and reasoning, or if you will, programming, with the R of programming being the honorary R. I try and impress on her how coding is something we all do every day. We're encoding when we write and talk, and we're decoding when we read and listen. It's all the same thing. Let's see, where am I at streetwise? I want to make sure I don't overshoot it. Let me go down to 28th so that I don't overshoot it. Yeah, so let's see, think this stuff through now. Yep, I did. I got so into talking, I overshot Madison and I'm on Lex, but that's okay. I'll be able to walk back down on 28th, and it shows you how much I'm into these videos. I should probably wrap it up here because I'll be getting into work and getting started. But final thoughts. Yeah, hitting the iron while it's hot. Addie is really in that place in her mindset where she gets impressed upon easily, and the lessons could in fact be lifelong lasting lessons. She asked me how educational the movie Inside Out was, that Disney movie about core memories and islands of identity. I'm not going to go explain it here. Go watch the movie if you haven't seen it. And I told her, yes, it was indeed a very educational movie, and the human brain works a lot that way. And if you understand that stuff, you will be able to understand and to some degree control. I know people have mixed feelings about control yourself and achieve greater happiness in life. A lot of it is keeping your animal self in check when things start to spiral out of control and parts of you gain control of your body that you would not like them to, like anger and sadness. To A, just know that's what's happening, and B, understand that that is a deliberate thing, a choice, something that can be recognized and then brought under control, with the control being given back to joy or I don't know, probably not fear. I wish there were some other guys in there. Who would it be? It would be a Sherlock Holmes character, for sure. Someone who prides themselves on observation of their surroundings, intellect and reason. Not that that should always be in control either, because there's great value in art and creativity, which comes from a deeper place and is, too easy to rationalize away, excessively judging. So I'll be preparing Addie for this world where she gets the best balance of free thought and critical thought. Yeah, that's a good place to stop. Thanks for joining me. Hope to see you again soon, and don't forget to subscribe.